Hello, everybody. Welcome to TFTuesday Podcast with me, K-Libra. Zill is out at FWA this weekend, so I am going to be the one to spearhead this again. I have on a guest returning, TigerTwins and Honey Bear here. Say hello, please.
Hello.
Hey, so yeah, I want to let you know before we start that if you're interested in the content, please consider checking out Twitter, Patreon, or YouTube. So for Twitter, we got at TFTuesday Pod, and that is the same thing for Patreon, patreon.com/TFTuesday Pod. And, you know, we got Twitter, not Twitter, but YouTube. YouTube has TF Tuesday Podcast. So that is the account name. So you can find the channel there. But yeah, that way you know where to find us if you like to hear more from myself, Zill, and any of the other guests that we have on. But yeah, so what I want to talk about today has a lot to do with experiencing the artist community and how they get influenced by their fans and the kind of stuff that they kind of get put through. If anybody's noticed that there's been a pattern where I wouldn't say, yeah, I think I could call it a pattern or at least kind of like a life cycle. There's usually a life cycle that you can find with enough people where they eventually don't want to do TF anymore, you know? And that has a lot to do with them feeling like they're stuck in only one kind of work that they could possibly do. Because if there's anything that can kind of demotivate you from wanting to do this, is if you're feeling like you're trapped in it. And so, yeah, I'm an artist. Two people we have here are artists. We've been doing this for a very long time. We care very much about it. And it's not just how we feel, but we've seen this in a few other people as well. So I wanted to gather your thoughts as well, because all of us have it, but it shouldn't just be me to talk about it.
I'll leave the floor to you, Bear.
Sure. On my end, like, my main passion isn't TF art. And it doesn't get the same kind of traction that just doing straight up transformation work does. And that is extremely discouraging because I don't renew myself with just TF art. You know what I mean? It's important to be able to support artists through whatever they go through as far as like style changes, as far as content changes, if you want to keep seeing more stuff from them. And I haven't had that. Don't get me wrong, I'm thankful for the attention my stuff gets, but I would also like to be able to post about characters. I'd like to be able to post about stories. I want to share comics in the future. And if history says anything, that is going to land like a wet fart.
Yeah. And that is the one thing that I want people to understand is the actual purpose of talking about this at all is what Bear said regarding if you want them to keep making the art. I think it goes over a lot of people's heads that if you end up making them feel valued for only one thing, then the moment that they stop doing something like that, it's going to end up feeling like, wait a minute, I can't really be myself here. And then that transformation artist goes away, you know.
Yes.
That's and a lot of people, they really mourn some artists, you know, and why they leave, and it's for a variety of reasons too, from just feeling like they have to do it to even just like general harassment at worst, you know, because that still happens, and then they don't want to be associated with it even though they want to stay in on it. So Steph, what about you?
I think this is something that is prevalent in a lot of communities. It's not just TF, which is why it's also really discouraging, because I've seen it in transformation where you'll have an artist that'll come in and they'll be prolific or something, and then they'll vanish because of reasons unknown, and then like someone will track them down like years later and it'll be like, oh yeah, I fucking burnt out because I was doing only that, and shit, I didn't want to do that no more. Like it's happened a lot. I've been on like art sites for a very long time. I've been part of a lot of different fandoms. I remember when DMC3 came out, Devil May Cry 3 came out, there was an extremely prolific Japanese artist who was on DeviantArt who made a lot of really awesome fan art for it, and like they were super fucking talented. I can't remember their name now, but they eventually completely wiped their gallery and disappeared into the night, only to like years later like I think in like 2015 or something. Like I remember seeing their art again, like on a different DeviantArt account, and it had nothing to do with Devil May Cry, but there was just like a certain something about the art that made me be like, oh wait, that's you. And I can only imagine it's just because, you know, she just disappeared, and I think it's just because the rest of her art didn't get that much attention. I used to have a friend on DeviantArt, Karenati. She used to do a lot of Spurk art, fucking Kirk, and she got stupid popular off of it, and then her interest started to shift, and her fucking engagement went into the trash. Another artist gone forever. I don't know what happened to her. Her gallery was abandoned and never uploaded anything again. And it's really sad because being an artist myself and like it makes me feel like I shouldn't step into things that I enjoy, because if I enjoy them and I show that I've enjoyed them, I'll be punished for it, which is a weird thing to feel. It's kind of like, yes, I'm sharing this to you, sharing this with you guys, the rest of the people who enjoy the same stuff that I do, and it's like people feel entitled to it, and so they get weirdly possessive about the things that you make. Another instance that I can think of was that Sonic artist who did these really fucking hilarious.
Tyson Hess.
Yes.
Now people know who Tyson Hess is.
Yeah, so he did these really like really funny like Sonic the Hedgehog comics, and I remember K-Libra showed me it, and it was like Nipples the enchilada.
Nipples the enchilada, that face.
What the fuck?
Yeah, and it was just like, and then there was like I forget what he did with Tails, but it was like
Arms the kitsune.
Yeah, and it was like, hold on tight, and he just like broke his arms just trying to fly. It was ridiculous, and they were just so funny. And then people kept demanding that he make more of it. Like people would be like, I can't believe that you've, you know, like, I can't believe you're taking so long. Like, where's the rest of it? Like, do more. And he put out a journal where he's like, thanks for that. Fuck you guys. I am never doing another one ever again. And he ghosted the fucking Sonic fandom. Actually, working with Sonic Team, but still.
Yeah, what a blast now that this guy came back to actually pretty much save, you know, Sonic's movies. Because that's exactly what he did. But really, it's no thanks to the people who just kind of ignored his stuff. It's a wonder to me how people could... I get wanting to see more of what somebody makes, but the general incuriousness that people seem to have about an artist's body of work is concerning to me, because, I mean, even in my server, there are artists who will say, oh, I did a thing, but it's not TF art. And I'm like, but I want to see that. I want to see art. I like art. We're not just one thing.
Me looking at the treasure trove of fucking files I have never uploaded. Like,
dude, that's unacceptable. We gotta get you to post some of that shit.
Yeah,
I'm working on it. Okay.
Okay.
I promise.
But it doesn't feel welcoming. And the thing is that you really notice the dead air that happens when you don't post something that people expect of you. And that feels really uncomfortable, you know? It really starts to feed into the pattern of, yeah, we're only here for this. What did you expect? And then, you know, for people who think, well, yeah, of course, duh. Like, if you didn't know that, then why are you posting online? Really, the reason is because when people have talked to us and they tell us our art is great, you know, we are a very good artist, you would think that they would care about the other things and the other ideas we would have. It's never just like, I think you're a really good TF artist. Specifically this thing, I like from you the best.
No, actually, I would argue that does happen. Like, you'll have someone be like, oh, you're a great artist. I especially like X. And then that's when, like, the subclass of the artist that you are suddenly becomes, like, under your title. Like, K-Libra, great Avi position.
Oh my god.
Or K-Libra, great fucking super hot fur exploding out of vagina.
What?
Yeah, like, really cool.
Fur exploding out of vagina.
Postal Roo, get on that. I know you. I know you're gonna. I know you can do it, bitch. I know
Been
you
called
can.
out where everybody can hear. Check out Postal Rue's art. He's got very interesting stuff. Good person to talk to.
Yeah, Postal Roo is really great. Fucking amazing. Like I don't. I wish my brain could work like that because sometimes I'm like, how in the fuck did you do that? How did this thought enter your mind? What drugs are you on? Can I have some?
The drug is
Shit.
freedom. and that's the thing that I want us to have. You know, it's the kind of burnout happens when you feel trapped. So there are some people who have gone through ups and downs from the community for a variety of reasons. It's not always the dead air of posting something that doesn't match up with, you know, what make them popular. Sometimes it's harassment or pressure, or yes, I think that entitlement to one's art is really important because I think it happens in like the most pedantic way here, you know, where people will come to you to tell you how things ought to be, you know, instead of, it's not constructive, it is entitled. It has happened to me a lot when I first started. Everything from this is shit and you shouldn't be posting it to I see that there is something distinctly wrong here and I don't know what it is. And that's it. I just wanted to tell you that. Cool. Thanks. This feels great.
Literally the early fucking equivalent of the vibes are rancid. Literally, you just got told your vibes are rancid, and that person just ghosts you.
I mean, I'm thankful that I haven't really experienced that, but like my time in the community has been much shorter than both of you. It's only been like 3 years for me.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I can't even remember how long it's been for me. Fuck.
I think the good thing for you, I have to argue, is that you haven't posted any kind of porn, because I have. And then that brings that like attracts the eyes of like other kinds of people.
I feel like that's subjective though, because for some people, TF just the act of transformation itself is erotic.
Yeah, but that's like not the point. It's that when you do that, now you invite certain other people into it. But you're right. You're completely right about what you're saying. Yeah.
Does posting porn like bring out the possessiveness of other people?
I wouldn't say so. My thoughts on that are that it's just the entitlement it jumps out of like whatever or wherever it is. I actually remember one of my partners wrote fan fiction, and who remembers fanfic.net? Come on.
Totally.
Yeah, exactly. So he used to post on fanfic.net, and he would write about a variety of media, but one of the things one of his stories he wrote about Love Hina, and that got more attention than anything else that he wrote about, and people got really pissed because he saw the attention that the Love Hina like one shots were getting, and he was like, what the fuck, I've been literally working on this King of Fighters thing for years, and it doesn't get anywhere near the exposure or anything else like that. Like, well, it doesn't get the attention. And then people in the Love Hina like comments or like whatever the fuck it was like, so it's been a year, I guess you're not gonna finish it, or where's the rest of this thing, and and that put him off writing for years. The entitlement to his work killed his drive to write. And it wasn't erotic. It wasn't a lemon. I'm outing myself. I'm dating myself right now. But yeah, it wasn't anything erotic. It was strictly like just a romance thing, nothing sexual about it. So I mean, it would be an interesting thing to study if sexual content brought out more possessive desires in others, but from what I've seen, it's fucking, it doesn't matter. It could be puppies and people are going to be like, nah, bitch, you got to do it the way I want it.
Not more. Just now, with like a general audience that can see it, you now have the attention of those kind of people. Because I've gotten two kinds of attention. The kind that you know, love the porn I make, and they want me to do it in a certain way, or disagree with certain ways that I do it, or the kind of people who have lamented that I make porn. Like, I wish you didn't make it, or like, I'm not into this. Like, I like your art, but I'm just not into this. But you're a good artist, but I just wanted to let you know I'm not into this. And I'm like, I don't know why you're telling me this.
It's not for you.
All I think of is fucking Tim Curry. Just, I didn't make him for you. in, in fucking Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah. I want people to know that the growth of an artist is really important. And at times, yeah, maybe sometimes they'll want to stop making it. But it would be nice for people who want to try different things to actually want to, now and again, still want to post, and share that kind of content, because you'll miss it. Because I can think of like a few artists off the top of my head. There was DMA, DMA was an artist who did like really interesting transformation art, but that stuff, I remember when they said they didn't want to do it anymore, and they just fucked off of their account completely. And then they made completely other names because they were like, yeah, I don't want to be associated with this stuff anymore. And that's a shame, because if what they make now, it could have been some like really fabulous stuff. It's really unique. And then there's Crimson Eclipse, who has gone by a number of names, but even though they still make the stuff, I remember there were like a few times where they were like, I'm kind of fucking tired of dealing with this. And more recently, there was a thing with another artist known as the Feral Dame, and there was a lot of problems with being associated with the transformation community because of sexual harassment, and they're asexual and didn't want to fucking deal with the sex, and then also just didn't want to make porn. And it's just like a huge fucking mess. And that's kind of why I also brought up the entitlement of like, once you do post porn, then you open yourself up to that, which is fucked up. And then also it's even worse if you're like feminine or feminine adjacent, something like that.
I feel like this could be I don't know. People probably wouldn't want to even listen. People get pissed off that women get treated different on the internet, but they do.
They do.
Yeah, and I remember that me and Katana were talking, and Katana had relayed to a group that she was in about harassment that she had received on Twitter because she had posted like something with her masks, and then someone had made a very gross sexual comment, and she was posting in this Discord group or Telegram group, I forget which one it was, about like what the person had said, and the response that they got was, well, you're presenting as a woman on the internet, what did you expect?
Yeah.
It was just, go ahead.
Pardon me, but go fuck yourself. Holy shit.
No, it's true. Like, it's crazy because I mean, nothing exists in a vacuum. So anybody who's going to be like, well, I'm here in TF, I'm not here for political or sexism, whatever. It's like, it affects the art. Art is a reflection of the person who makes it.
Art is politics, just is.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, think about it this way: why is there so much male to female transformation and not so much female to male transformation? Right? Now, that's from my purview. I could be wrong. I'm not saying that one is like super greater than the other, but from what I have seen a lot more male to female than I have female to male. And it's kind of like, well, why is that? It's like, well, there's reasons for it that exist outside of the transformation fandom, right? Like you can't say that it fucking exists in a vacuum and it's like, oh, it's just hot, don't fucking look into it. It's like, shut the fuck up. Yes, oh my god.
There are reasons for fucking everything. They don't just exist because you feel like it.
Exactly. Like, I thought, I thought this completely in a room that was like tinfoiled from the outside. All I have for entertainment is a ping pong table and Jesus. That's all I have.
My soul resonated with this, and you leave it at that.
And only after this purification, right, where my mind was completely wiped by Jesus, did I have this TF thought, and therefore it's hot. When it comes to being a visible art, when you're an artist, it's like you have to, it's not unlike being a social media creator as a whole, like the YouTuber or whatever. It's you and your art, right? The biggest difference is that your art doesn't really tell about your personal life. So people can consume your art and know really nothing about you, right? But you as the artist still needs to be out there. You still need to be your publicist. You still need to talk, and you still need to be visible. So as like someone who's clearly like female or clearly male or whatever, you're going to be treated differently. You're going, like, sometimes people can predict if you're male or female by the way you fucking type, apparently, because they're like, well, you type
Oh
like
my
a
God.
woman. I've gotten that before. It's like, well, I just assumed you were a woman because of the way you typed, and I'm like, what the fuck, bro?
Oh, it's so fucking weird. It's so weird. And
But
it's
that's
so
all,
wrong.
yeah, and that's all. But this is all connected to the whole thing of like artist burnout or being accepted or not accepted for the work that you post. Because like if I was interested in femdom and I make a lot of femdom pieces, and then I have transformation art that is not exactly femdom-y but has femdom like sprinkles on it, like people are gonna look at that art, but they wouldn't look at like the femdom art. And it's kind of like, well, why not? It's my art. I made it.
Yeah, and it's something worth talking about, especially because I know that at least a few of you are listening where you're just kind of thinking, maybe we're coming off as kind of entitled. This doesn't get expressed without somebody making it in the first place. And people need to be respected for that effort every single time. And the thing that bothers me is also that if you're thinking to yourself, oh yeah, I support these artists or whatever, fine. But have been a few artists who have kind of gone under the radar more because they got too much attention at one time for drawing this stuff. Then they started to be like, holy shit, where is all this coming from? And who are all these people talking to me? Where they kind of make sure that they stay nice and quiet and don't really get noticed. Because that's the thing. Depending on how good you are or the idea you post, you might get a flood of attention. And then they don't want to they don't know what to do. And then they just kind of like hide away.
Is this an internet problem?
I wonder is it an internet problem? Maybe. Do you think maybe I'm like being too uncharitable?
Well, let's see. Bear, you said yes. Why?
Because like the internet itself is just consuming content without like actually thinking about how it got there or who made it or the artist behind it. Like we've talked about this before, but social media and stuff like that is designed around just consuming and consuming, and I see that the same thing happening here, but you don't really see that kind of consumption out in the real world. Like if you have to actually like look at the piece and then look at the artist standing right in front of you, it's kind of hard to ignore.
I was actually going to bring up like old masters or whatever. Like I know that Da Vinci, the great Da Vinci himself, he got commissions and he got famous off of that. And then like he was like, "Fuck portrait painting. This is ass. I'm gonna go invent shit. Bye, loser." So I mean, we can't really say like Da Vinci was an example of whatever, but like other artists back then, like paintings took so goddamn long because paint took a fucking fucktillion amount of time to make and shit like that. And like you would be working on a painting for like literally years. Also because oil painting was just like, we're never dry, ho. Fuck you. You rework this fucking mountain 300 times until it's perfect, dickhead. So like I'm wondering if something you had like a Matisse painting or like any kind of Picasso. People love Picasso shit because it was fucking Picasso. And I'm just using him because he's way more fucking recognizable than half of the art history motherfuckers that are dancing around in my brain right now. But I'm wondering if it's like, is it because the consume makes it so that the makes it so that the individual artist is ignored? Because like I'm thinking about how back in the day, like back in the 90s, before like we had the interwebs in the back of the classroom. Y'all remember those Apple computers in the back of your elementary school? You get to put this paint on that bitch.
I suppose, I don't know. I can see how we can tie this back to a general internet problem, but the pattern of stories is what made me want to talk about this, because there are the artists who just will say the same things. I don't want to do this forever. Well, of course they don't have to do it forever, but what made them say that in the first place? I think there's something to look at if you have a number of artists who end up saying the same kind of thing, like, oh man, I just want to branch out, or I don't want to do this anymore. even though they probably seem to really care about it or draw it for fun. And then people wonder, like, oh man, that's a shame. Well, yeah, it's a shame. It should be examined a bit more.
I feel like it's so fucking shitty to just kind of brush it off as a shame, because this is an entire artist. This is a person's creative work that is literally just being dismissed as that's a
Unless
shame.
it's Bubby, then you freak the fuck out.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Fucking Jesus. Call back to that shit.
Go fight for Bubby.
No,
Poor Bubby.
no.
Do not.
Over thousands and thousands of followers, and that entire body of the work was gone because you people just don't want to not click on it.
Okay, so I still can't believe that episode gets comments. That's crazy to me. Like, sometimes, like, I'll admit I'm a bit of a drama hoe. So I'll be like, I wonder. And it's like, I be creeping, I be reading your shit. I know who fucking is saying what.
Go ahead. If you don't know what I'm talking about, yeah, just season 3, episode 3, if you really want to know what I'm griping about.
But yeah, like, it's really terrible when you have an entire artist's body of just suddenly be dismissed or whatever because they had to disappear. But like, entitlement seems to be the biggest issue regarding any kind of creative endeavor. I mean, like, I literally was just sitting here thinking, like, is it art Karen's? Like,
Oh my god.
I want to talk to your creative manager. Where is my next comic page, you slut? But I mean, I've seen that a lot, like, so fucking often. And it sucks because being as an artiste, really, like, making this for fun, making this as a passion, and doing that is completely different from, like, doing things that you know, like, will sell, quote unquote, right? I have a friend who I don't know if she'd want me to name drop her, so I'm not going to, but she's like, oh, I want to do stuff that I know will get attention because that's the stuff that will pay my bills. And then she'll be like, she'll be like, a month later, she'll be like, why the fuck do I feel like shit? Why am I burnt out? And it's like, maybe it's because you did the thing strictly for attention, and, well, it fucking worked, and now you're having to sell your booty hole to fucking get it done. Like, it's. And then I've spoken with her, and she's also like, I don't know if I want to do this type of art anymore. And they're like, she's extremely skilled, like, point blank, extremely skilled. And I think that if she stopped doing art, it would be a fucking great tragedy. But I can't blame her, because I've also thought about giving up fucking art as a job, because...
Well, okay, I want to, like, wrangle this in a little bit, just to, like, do a little test here. And for anybody listening, this is going to be, like, your bit of, like, introspect that you can do. And it's going to be easy because it's going to be a very simple scenario. I would like both of you to briefly mention at least one of the things that you really enjoy making, that you'd love to share with people, that you would hope that the fans that you have would show a bit of interest in. And you, the listeners, really consider if that's something that you would find interesting. And if you do, are you going to just kind of, like, ghost it? Or are you also going to express your interest? So are either of you up for that? I'll toss my hat in too.
Go for it. You first. The hosts first.
Yeah, do it.
Hostess first? Okay. So I got a story about angels and them fighting amidst each other, and I wanted it to be an exploration about what it means to be human, and, you know, what it means to be alive, and, you know, why things are not perfect no matter where you are, whether heaven, earth, and kind of like even the tragedy of, like, what hell is, things like that. I want to explore those things. I'll tell you something that I did do. I did post one of these pieces many years ago, and what I did end up getting, aside from nothing, was a note who very pretentiously tried to predict what would happen at the end of my story, because I thought I'd write an excerpt to go along with it in the comment. That didn't feel good. So now I don't post that anymore, ever, on FA. And, but I would like to. I would like to be able to share that kind of story and those kind of ideas with more, you know, with more people and more places. And to help, it helps motivate me. I have enough trouble motivating myself for it. So if anybody thinks that would be something that you're probably interested in, then do you think you'd be leaving me a nice comment or two, or telling me like, hey, this is pretty interesting. I'm glad you shared something different. All right. Okay. What about you, Steph?
Oh, I have a multitude of stories running around in my head at any given time.
Just pick one. You gotta just pick one.
Vampires, because vampires are sick, bro.
Yeah? All right.
Yeah. Like, would you like to have a story about vampires fighting other vampires? That sounds pretty lit. Like, hell yeah.
Hell yeah, brother. What?
Yeah. Do you want to have that instead of TF70 times? Let me know in the web zone. Comment in this web zone if you'd like a pizza roll.
You're doing Hulk Plinkett. My God. I know how to hide the bodies better than anybody else, brother, and I'll be hiding yours tonight. Oh.
I would pay money to see that shit.
Oh, yeah.
Fuck yeah.
I don't know. If somebody catches, wants to tweet at Red Letter Media for us or something. Okay, Barrett, what about you? I know that you got some stories. Just pick one that maybe you think would be cool to like share and, get a little bit of feedback, know that people are interested in.
I'm like TigerTwins here in that I have like a shit ton of stories going on at once, but they're all things that I've been working on for a very long time. But the first one that comes to mind is a story about two older people who are living a pretty depressing life, and they stumble into the world of the supernatural, and the supernatural actually takes a backdrop to them kind of building themselves back up together and finding connection despite all of the terrible things that have gone on.
Dude, sick. When's the pilot episode?
I would very much like to see those sort of things. So, question is, anybody who's listening, do you think you would like to see something like that?
If I may just really quick interject, because all three of us, like, we had that, and I'm very sure that there are artists. I'm very hard pressed to think of an artist that doesn't have a creative universe within themselves that they are trying to express, and we are limited by our ability to we have to sleep, eat, and work and do all this other shit. So our expression is limited, and I think that's what the great tragedy is about the entitlement towards artists' work and the shun, like, I wouldn't say shunning, but the disinterest that one can get, because since art is usually such a personal thing, the disinterest hurts. The disinterest fucking stings like a motherfucker. And it's clear that this to me, like, this entitlement maybe it doesn't have to be malicious. Like, I don't think people necessarily intend to be hurtful. Like, there are some people who are like, go fuck yourself. Like, I do not want to see.
It's a thoughtlessness. It's it's inconsiderate, and there are, to be perfectly fair and balanced, I'm taking the trademark now. It's a very small amount of people who will vocalize their displeasure and then tell you to not do that thing ever again. But it sucks because you don't know if those people are going to be kicking somebody while they're down, or if they're trying to achieve a goal or make a splash in the community. There have been enough people that I've talked to over the years who when they start posting, they're like, oh, finally I can give something back. I just wanted to give something back, and that's where this comes from. It's from a lot of goodwill and shared interest. And that doesn't get recognized that way,
No, yeah, I definitely have seen that. Like, going to Infernal Equinox and meeting actual IRL TF that they, and seeing like how there is a lot of passion for this, and I think that that's wonderful. It makes me feel happy to be part of it. And on that point, I do want to say that, as I'm sitting here thinking about it, because you said it was an act of thoughtlessness, right? It's difficult to ask somebody to be like, hey, can you show up for me, someone who I don't know? Like, for me, someone you don't know, and someone who's the only connection that you have, per se, is through art, when they might be going through some shit themselves.
That is true. But what I'm asking for is like a general approach to people. In terms of like, all right, do you both generally show respect to people out in the world? Yes, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
So like that's what I'm talking about. It's not a matter of everybody needs to like and show their support for everybody all the time. But it's just like if you are going to engage with something, what is going to be your baseline thought toward the content?
Well, let me ask you a question then. And what does that look like?
It looks like to me the way I've been doing it for a long time. I like something. Sometimes I feel like I want to show a little bit of support. I will at least say one thing one time maybe and say, hey, I think the things that you make are like really impressive to me. Or if I ever interact with them, I let them know that their effort is appreciated. I also, if I ever get into a conversation with them, I don't pretend to assume that the content that I enjoyed from them in the first place is something that they are super into. I'll show my appreciation for it, but I want them to be open to be able to say, that's not really my thing. Oh, then what is? I would like to see it. You know, that's what it looks like to me. Do I do this for every single artist? No, but I do it where I can, and I do it when the moment strikes me. You know, it's not a big ask, I think.
I feel like a lot of that can be boiled down to remembering that there is a person with thoughts and feelings behind the content that you love. And I feel like it's a little bit crazy to have to point that out, but I also get the feeling that people legitimately don't think of that. Like, we are not computers, we are not just printing shit out. This takes time and effort and like a whole bunch of other shit.
And a little bit of vulnerability sometimes too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And without getting into this whole concept, I will just brush on it briefly because you mentioned how you find it weird that you got to tell that to people. But remember, the general sentiment on the internet is that if it's not in person, it's not IRL. It is not in real life. But everybody you're interacting with is real. All of this is real life. All of it. Everything is real life. I don't use that term, and I haven't used it in a long time, IRL, in real life. Everybody's real. This is all real life. This is all really happening. What you're doing, you know, the interactions you're having with people are actually happening. They can do things to those people. So that's why either it's online or in person, but there's always someone that you're interacting with and could affect.
I mean, I'm thinking about how you do have a lot of people who may not feel comfortable interacting. I know that there's a lot of artists that I enjoy that sometimes I can't give the comment to. Not because I'm being a thoughtless dick, but because like I'll be checking on my phone while I'm out on the train, and it's like I can't sit right now and comment on whatever. And then by the time I get home, I forgot. And there are a lot of people who admire art in silence. Like you won't I've said this to several people, like you won't know who really loves your shit usually on the internet because there are plenty of people who look at it and don't say anything, but they love it because like maybe they're fucking anxious, maybe they don't know how to talk to you, maybe they don't know how to talk to anybody, maybe they just feel like they'd be bothering. And that really sucks because like I know that I personally would love to talk to people that are like just like chilling and having a good time with my work, and they'd be like, "Hey, can I pick your brain or whatever?" Like, I mean, I've heard like a lot of podcasts where you'll have an artist and they'll be like, "Hey, you know, fucking, I'm down to talk with people." In fact, I didn't even know that this person was down with my shit. And it happens to artists with other artists. Like, how many times have you seen like a Twitter meme where it's like, "Oh, you know, me fucking being followed by big name someone," and the artist freaks the fuck out, even though their art is also fucking really good. You know, it's kind of funny, but really kind of fucked up too, because that lack of engagement can be something that drives someone away. And it's kind of what's happening. Like, this is what this whole episode is about, is that lack of support really fucking can break an artist, a writer, or anyone who really puts their creative, you know, their critussy into it, you know?
I was going to say content creator, but I like yours better.
Yes. Look, you bust the critussy wide open. Pop the critussy. I understand that it's unreasonable to ask for everyone to say something kind. I don't think that that's a realistic ask, but I also, as an artist, it would be like, hey, if you think I'm chill and cool and you like my shit, then come through. Like comment on my shit. Tell me you think it's lit. Tell me what you think is lit. I will probably be happy about it for days, because I remember I drew a fan art for an author, because I was just like, I finished reading this book and I was like, this is the shit. I need to get this out of my head right now or I will die. And then that author commented about, like, this author made a fucking DeviantArt account to comment and be like, this is so sweet.
Holy shit.
Yeah, and I was like blown away, and that was like like that whole year made by that one fucking comment. So like, I think all creators are really desperate to connect with the people who love their shit. And in an age where we are so interconnected, that lack of connection with the people who love your shit is like screaming into an empty room, and it's fucked up.
It's extremely ironic that we are more connected than we have been in forever, and it feels like there was more engagement back when we were younger, when these sites were smaller, like DeviantArt and stuff like that.
Yeah. And I think a lot of things changed where I think this became a more like mundane, expected thing. It used to be special. The idea that you could share your things with somebody very, very far away in what was still a much easier way from you just like, taking a photo and sending it to somebody or bringing someone to it, or bringing it to them. Now you could do that kind of shit like super fucking easy in so many ways. It goes into a lot of different things, like how people end up kind of being revered, bringing it back again to the comments that have been made between both of you, that it's you got to remember that people are putting their effort into it. It is work. It is not magic. And because this isn't magic, and a lot of people aren't these like weirdly gifted people who can just kind of be amazing out the gate and then just become like mind-blowingly fucking, awesome all the time. They are the exceptions to the rule. And if somebody gets really popular off of, their effort, sweat of their own brow, things like that, then you got to remember that they got all this other stuff going on. And so they don't need to be revered or like always like carefully handled or like, oh, please, I don't want to mess this up with them. Like, treating somebody like a celebrity is not really a good thing more often than not, I think. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to actually get to know a number of people or been like able to interact with anybody. I have been able to find out that some artists who are like many times bigger than me like my stuff because I could just be like, hey, that's real good. I like these things that you did. And then suddenly I get surprised and be like, oh shit, I really like what you make. And that's because I didn't have to treat them with any kind of like major reverence or feel like I had to like avoid them. And this goes into a bigger thing, but without getting into it, it's just a reminder that you can just talk to people sometimes. Yes, I know. So what if you're shy? What if you're this? It's not the point. I'm just letting you know it is a thing that you can do.
And most artists are like, if you're not gonna be weird about it, most artists are willing to chat. It's like, they're just people.
There's a number of us that would like to be able to talk to others, because the reason in the first place I started sharing any art online, well before this, was because I wanted to bounce ideas back and forth between people. Creative people talking creatively. That's what I wanted. And that was like hugely disappointing that I wasn't getting that. And it's happened to all of us, and no doubt to many more people.
Yeah, and that's why your Discord server is a place where artists can get together and share ideas and critique and everything like that. And that's why I really like it.
I'm glad you feel that way, because I'm making the space I wanted, because I really... I'm not telling everybody to go make it for themselves. All I'm saying is that it's possible, and you could probably make a few connections. It would be good. And it also helps keep those artists feeling valued too. That's why I'll say it again. Not everybody has to like everything all the time, but every now and again, extend that tiny bit of effort.
It reminds me of when Kentaro Miura was doing Berserk, and people were like, the art has just gone to shit. Like, I remember people being...
Oh my god.
Yeah, I know. People were really upset at the artistic direction he went. I can't remember at what arc it was. But Berserk has been, like, even if you're not into Berserk or anime or whatever, I think you've heard of it. It's such a cultural phenomenon. Like, I think everyone and their grandma has heard of it, right?
No, not a lot of people have heard of it, but nobody knows but for all the people that don't know about it, don't understand that, like, some of their favorite things ever exist because of it.
Well, what I mean to say is that a lot of people are very much in the know about how detailed the artwork for Berserk was. In fact, like, I remember there was a lot of talk. Well, maybe it's because I'm a weeb at certain points. Like, I'm weeb adjacent. So, like, I fucking can hear how people are like, oh yeah, the fucking panels in Berserk are ridiculously detailed. I think the only artist, this is a complete tangent, but the only other artist is the one who is making Cesare, which is Fuyumi Soro, I think. And her fucking backgrounds are ridiculous. The bitch went to the Vatican to actually draw what the Vatican looks like. Bitch was crazy.
Oh shit.
Yeah, but people will look at Kentaro Miura's art, which is beautiful and wonderful, and maybe not like super moe cute woo, but they'll be like, I don't agree with this. And I mean, you're allowed to have that opinion. It's a wrong opinion, but you could have it.
Yeah. It is clearly a wrong opinion. There are wrong opinions. Don't you ever forget it, okay?
But I mean, like you said, you extend the courtesy to people, right? So, like, I'm just thinking, because we as artists are asking, hey, could we be accepted for all of the things we make, even though it might not, like, give us a chance, even though you may not be interested at first.
Yeah.
But we're also kind of acknowledging, like, hey, we understand that everybody and their grandmother isn't going to be into the same shit.
Yes. Actually, that's a very good punctuation. Reasonable people who create will understand when somebody does not engage, because that is just the way it is with everything. It is the way it is with everything. So that way, people listening also understand that nobody here is holding like so much against so many people. It's not like that with us, nor should it ever be. There's very little that is more off-putting than an actually pretentious artist, because the moment that comes along, it's like, oh, well, I'm not even going to look your way anymore. You're actually a fucking dirtbag. All right, so I really enjoyed talking about this, and it feels good to just get this sort of message out there so that we can have the people who make stuff that we love, that resonates with us, or just is really fun to enjoy and mull over and just give us new ideas. I really want that to last longer. And the way we can do that is to just kind of take what we've said and build on it. If we missed points or anything like that, leave us comments. You can tweet at us too. We like to use the hashtag TFTuesdayPod. If you want to leave us questions on Twitter, we will read them. We do read questions. And that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to take a couple of the questions from our, lovely patrons. And I would like all of us to just take a crack at these. I have no time to think about this, so I'll be as surprised as all of you. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Never.
Never? Oh, man. This is going to get awkward.
I know, right?
Let's do it. Come on.
Come on. Yeah.
Okay, so we got the first question from Stormy Fennec, who asks, if you were slowly turning into a feral critter, pick your favorite role with a random one permanently, what would you do to set up your new future life?
Oh, I got this fucking right now. I don't got to do nothing. I'm going to be a pigeon. I'm going to slowly transform into a fucking bird. You know what I would do? I would go to a place. Shit. I'd have to go to somewhere that I can reasonably get to as a person that is kind of secluded, like maybe an abandoned, like there's a lot of abandoned condos around where I live, so I could just go to the roof of one of them bitches, take a fucking 50-pound bag of fucking pigeon seed, rip that bitch open, and put like a fucking canister of water, and then I will just be set. I'm good for the rest of my TFdom. That's it. I'm done.
So the seeds could go bad. So I'm just wondering, why not actually cultivate like something? Unless I'm missing something.
Because I'm a pigeon. I live in the wild. I could go eat pizza crust. It'll be great. It'll be dope.
Okay.
And then when I'm like, if I get fucked up, I could just hop over to you and just be like, "Yo, adopt me." What are you gonna do? Say no?
Why wouldn't I? If I knew it was you, I'd be taking care of you anyway. It's an unfair. It's unfair for the interest or whatever. But now we'll get into you being, bird friend.
Okay, you'll go now. I'm done.
Okay, fine, Bear. What about you?
I would probably go house hunting.
Shit.
I need to find a place at the edge of town, like near the woods. I need to find some places that have like pools and like maybe the owners aren't around too much because I'm going to go in your garbage. I'm going to swim in your fucking pools.
Oh, fuck yeah.
I'm going to sit in your hammocks. Okay. I'm going to live the bear fucking high life.
Oh yeah, definitely. You gotta go to like a mountain town.
Yes.
Because they're used to fucking bears and shit, and they're chill as long as you don't eat their kids.
It'd be like, there's a bear over there. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it's like if you're just like, excuse me, pardon me, I'm coming to get your fucking Pop-Tarts that you threw out.
It is really funny. That's one of the things I like about them is that they can look so fucking demure, just like
If not friend, why friend shaped? I fucking asked that fucking question. Why not?
Forbidden forest floof.
Exactly.
Don't trust you fucking bipeds.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that I settled on for any reason was a Rottweiler, because they get abused, but lately it's gotten better. And I think if something were to happen where I'm left out on the street, if I approached anybody, head down, looking up, making sure that I never pipe up or anything, somebody will take me home and I think I'll be okay. But more than anything, I think I could also just be I don't know. I could always be of worth to someone too.
No, fucking stop breaking my heart, okay? I'm gonna cry right now. I'm over here. It's just no, not the puppy. See, no, now you know what? You were right. You fucking emotionally manipulated me to take care of your post-TFness. See? Master fucking manipulator right there.
If only people knew how much I manipulate things. I'm fucking horrible. Go ahead, talk about it publicly. See what happens.
Oh my.
Let's see. When it comes to that, I just want to let you know that dogs are incredibly good at getting what they want, because those eyes, they command so much soft power. You know what I mean?
You can't turn down a fucking puppy, and all dogs are puppies, by the way. I don't care. I don't care how old.
They're all puppies. They're all babies.
Yes, it's so it's not even a fucking question. This is the oldest dog is a puppy.
Yeah,
it's just puppy. Yeah, that's I remember just really quick tangentially, there was this fucking dog that walked up to me out of nowhere on the fucking street, and I'm just like, look at the old baby.
Yeah.
The old baby, bitch. What the fuck? But no, it's true.
I love English for that. You know exactly what you're talking about. That shit makes no sense, but you know what it means.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so next question comes from Figer, or Figer Fire, sometimes on the YouTube comments that are left. So the question is, what would be the time frame that you would prefer for a transformation? Year-long TFs forever, month-long TFs, weeks, and would you want it consistently that length, or want some variability set in that? So just to make sure that it's a little more easy to digest. So anything from years to months to weeks. Do you want it shorter, longer? How do you like it?
Fire, you are dropping fire questions. Uh-huh.
I want it shorter. Part of fucking enjoying transformation is you get to do it again when you turn human. If you were just in my case, if you were just, I'm a bear now, then you can't enjoy transformation anymore. It's just done. That is not part of your life anymore.
Okay, so then how long? What are ideal lengths of time for you to experience the change that you find interesting, best, fun, whatever.
1 day.
1 day?
Yes.
Changes over the course of a day. Okay. What about you, Steph?
Oh, this is hard. I actually really like the idea of like it being like a week or a month or so. Before I was very much like you, Bear, but I read a couple of stories, and one of them was by someone who has been on this podcast before, Doran TF, and one of the transformations for like the pig TF story that took place over a fucking longer period of time, and that shit was so fucking interesting that now I can't help but think, yeah, you need like a week to just experience the full like role of what you're changing into. Like if you're changing into a puppy, you need to be able to get your little baby fur on. You need to get, you need to know what the tail is gonna be like. You need to learn, you need to learn how to fucking to walk with that motherfucker. Like you got to get accustomed to the new balance. Maybe you gotta get used to smelling things from 300 fucking years away.
Just to be clear, didn't mean baby fur in that way. Literally the fur of a baby creature.
Yeah. So, like with I mean, it's funny because like even like pigeons, the ones that I was referencing, like baby pigeons turn into adult pigeons like pretty fucking quickly, but it's still over like the period of a month where their feathers have to come in and they have to learn how to peck at seeds. Like you need to learn to be whatever it is you're changing into. You gotta get used to that shit. So I would say like a month, with the shortest being like a week.
Okay.
I would argue the day transformations, like assuming this is going to keep happening, you can learn that over the same amount of time, but you just have breaks in between.
So you'd be like, TF, I am bear. I'm learning to bear. I turned into a human. I turn into a bear again. I'm learning how to bear again. The bearing part 2.
Yes. And then you can take what you've learned from being the bear, and you can probably start noticing those aspects like starting to bleed into your human life. And that's interesting.
Oh, yeah. But then what happens after?
This isn't a sequence. Let's move on.
Sequence?
Go.
All my bitterness for that. So, yeah, I am one of those kind of people. I like the movie stuff where it takes place like over like in the course of like a minute or something like that, or a minute or two, because I really want to see it happen. Another idea, and it's from an old Black Shirt Boy comic. I think it's called Love on the Plains or something, where it's like these lovers, they fuck, and she starts turning into a cowgirl, but like she changes part way, and then later on when she wakes up, she's like partly changed, even though it's like pretty drastic still. But then like the rest of them just kind of come in like another wave, and I can kind of enjoy that where it's in waves. So maybe I get to see a little bit of the changes like happen quickly, and then maybe you're that way for a little while, and then eventually the wave comes again. So that could take place over like the course of like a day or so. But I don't really relish in the idea of like very, very slowly watching myself become whatever. If anything, I don't know, it would create a kind of anxiety in me where I'm just like thinking ticking clock. And I'm like, well, I better prepare for like the inevitability of this because I know it is going to take this amount of time.
I'm not one for pain, and I feel like if you're TFing like quickly, it has a higher chance of hurting. Because my fucking whole skull got reshaped in like 3 seconds. Fuck that shit.
Well, that's assuming you want it to hurt, but we're talking ideally, don't we?
Well, yeah, but I'm just...
Who knows what it would take for you in your body? What changes first in what order? What if the food you start to eat becomes incompatible with you and you got to start eating food that you can't stand? That it could even be food that just makes you want to fucking throw up. What if you got like texture problems? What if this and that? What if like the sheer environment of your home doesn't fit it? You don't know. You're gonna have to deal with that for months and months and months and months and months and months until you could fit into your habitat if you're either too big or too small. I'm going with like the idealized version. Anybody who knows what I'm talking about, it's just like, oh, but that'll hurt, won't it? A little bit. It's part of the fun.
The way you posed it, I'm just like, what if my butthole changes first? What are you gonna do about that? Like, that's the vibe you're giving me. It's like, well, you wanted slow changes. Now you do not have a human butthole. fuck you.
Oh no, that doesn't work the same at all. Although if you get like something with like strange anal glands or something, and if you're gonna go with pigeon, then anybody will have to deal with a cloaca. I see the look on your face, like, oh no.
I'm just having real fucking like moments here where it's like I could just imagine trying to go to the bathroom and now you're just team front butt and you're just and you're just like, well, I guess I gotta lean over this toilet to figure out what the fuck I'm supposed to do.
Thankfully, it'll be pointing down in the same direction, I'm pretty sure.
I don't know. Now I'm stricken with fear.
All
Okay.
I'm saying is that if you're gonna ask me about like, will it hurt? I'm gonna be like, well, it can also be kind of shitty to deal with over. But some people like that too. That's part of the fun for them. Yeah.
just
Yeah. I don't want anybody coming at me with like, but then logically this would happen. Shut up. But I've had a really good time talking with you. Both of you, of course, anytime. Thanks very much for coming on again. Please tell us your socials again so that people can make sure to find you and hopefully appreciate, the greater body of your work.
I am Honey-Bear on FA and HoneyBear Arts, all one word, on Twitter.
I am TigerTwins on Furfinity. I had a DeviantArt, but I fucking forgot it. So same name there. If you find me, good. If not, I'm on Furfinity.
All right, excellent. Thanks again. One more reminder, of course. Please check out the Patreon, TFTuesday Pod, patreon.com/TFTuesday Pod. If you decide that you'd like to join us, you can join our Discord server, speak with myself, the main host, Zill. I call him the main host, of course, because, without him, I don't think there is a podcast anyway. And also...
Love you, Zill.
Yeah, love you, miss you.
Zill.
Can't wait for you to come back, man. And come back with stories and, everything else. But yeah, you can join the Discord, speak with like-minded people. There are also a few other artists there that, maybe a little active, might get to talk to them. It's a good place to be. And, of course, yeah, you don't have to pay anything to subscribe to the YouTube, TFTuesday Podcast, or just keep track of us on Twitter, TFTuesday Pod, at TFTuesday Pod. But, yeah, again, thanks everybody for listening. And, yeah, I just want to let you know that you are not alone in this abyssal darkness. I am here, and we shall face the chasm as brothers. We are all brothers.
Full of paper. The world is full of paper. Write to me.
Oh.
Bear, you got a little sign off you like?
Don't fucking talk to me.
Works for me. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.